My name is Victoria Winters. Collinwood has a reputation for ghosts and spectres, and the unseen widows who weep for their men missing at sea. I had always scoffed at these ghost stories, until last night.
Vicky, if you don't sit down, you'll drive me out of my mind. Well, it's just about what your charming little cousin did to me last night. Are you positive that you really saw a ghost?
Yes, I saw a ghost.
But you've always been the one who didn't believe in things like that.
Well, I changed my mind, or else I'd lost it. I'd been asleep for a few minutes when I heard Bill Malloy's voice telling me to leave Collinwood before I was killed. Now, there's only one door in that room, and that door was locked. My mind tells me not to believe it, but every instinct in my body tells me that what I saw last night was the ghost of Bill Malloy.
Vicky, what did I just hear you say?
I said that last night when I was locked up in that room, I saw the ghost of Bill Malloy.
That's nonsense.
I'd like to agree with you, but it seemed very real to me.
Roger did mention something to me about David playing a prank on you, but he didn't say anything about a ghost.
It wasn't any prank. David was very angry with me, and I think he wanted to kill me.
Vicky, he's only a child.
So he is. And considering the events of the past few days, I decided that it would be best if I left Collinwood.
Vicky, that isn't fair.
Fair to whom? To any of us. David has been urging me to leave Collinwood, and I think this should make him very happy.
I don't think you should make a decision in a hurry.
I didn't make it in a hurry. I had quite a bit of time to think in that room last night. And I finally decided that the best thing to do would be for me to leave Collinwood.
I quite agree.
Roger.
In fact, I think it would be very unwise for Vicky to stay on in a place where she is obviously in danger.
Would you girls mind leaving us alone?
No, not at all.
Well?
Would you please tell me why you want Vicky to leave?
Because I think it would be to Vicky's best interest if she were to move as far away from Collinwood as she possibly could.
What exactly was David trying to do?
Oh, it was a childish prank that backfired. And then he became frightened. So obviously, I didn't know. Actually, when you were questioning him, something he said led me to suspect what had happened.
Well, then why on earth didn't you go and let her out of the room at once?
I had to have a little time to put the pieces together, and when I did, I went up to look for her.
How are you able to get into the closed-off wing? The door is locked. Where'd you get a key?
The door wasn't locked. I passed through it. And then, otherwise I would have had to waken you.
Did you ask David what they were doing there in the first place?
Oh, well, of course I did, but you didn't expect him to tell me the truth, did you?
Well, what did he say?
Well, he said that he happened to press against this door and it opened. He was curious and so was Vicky. They decided to explore. So they ended up in that section of the house above the eaves there. And then they went into one of the rooms. After a while, they came out, and he locked the door, thinking that Vicky had gone on ahead of him.
A moment ago, you said it was a prank.
Oh, he's confused. We'll never know the truth of it.
I wonder.
You wonder what?
If he's as confused as he would like us to believe.
You're always defending him.
Yes, when you called him a little monster.
Well, I think I had good reason to. I hope you're not forgetting the fact that he almost tried to kill me.
I thought we agreed that was an accident.
Yes, so we did.
There's only one thing.
What's that?
Has it occurred to you that lately there have been too many accidents at Collinwood?
come in?
Vicky. Oh, I'm sorry. Are you napping?
No, come on in.
Vicky, you simply can't leave Collinwood.
Well, I don't see how I can stay.
But what about the reason you came to Collinwood in the first place?
Well, I haven't found one thing that has the remotest connection with my past.
But you might.
Yes, I might, and I might not. And I could stay here for the rest of my life and not come any closer to the solution.
Isn't it worth it to stay if there's even a chance of finding out?
I don't know. But if I don't get out of here, I may lose my mind. You don't know what it was like in that room last night.
Vicky, I'm so sorry.
Didn't anybody miss me?
Now you make me feel guilty.
I was out.
With Burke Devlin.
You were with Burke? But I thought you were never going to see him again.
Well, I ran into him by accident. At the Blue Whale. Honestly, Vicky, if I hadn't been so angry with Joe for breaking that date, I never would have gone out.
So now Joe is the culprit.
Don't you know what he was doing? He was having dinner with Maggie Evans.
If you will forgive me for butting into your private affairs, I'd like to remind you that yesterday Joe came to the house looking for you and you were out.
Well, he could have waited for me, couldn't he?
I wouldn't have thought very much of him if he had.
But why? I was just taking a walk.
From some of the things you've told me, you've kept Joe waiting for quite a while.
What if I have? That still does not give him the right to have a dinner date with Maggie Evans.
And does it give you the right to have a date with Burke Devlin?
I didn't have a date with him. I told you I didn't know he was going to be there.
But he was, and so were you. And that's all that mattered at the moment. Am I right?
I suppose so. Vicky, I was so glad to see him without all that hatred in him. When he wasn't accusing anybody of anything. Can't you understand that?
I think so.
He was so charming. I just simply lost track of the time. But when I did get home and found out you'd been missing, I was terribly worried about you. Vicky, we all care about you. Maybe we're not demonstrative or anything, but we care. All of us.
Including David?
How can I explain what David thinks? He's a nut. But Mother and I care about you. And so does Uncle Roger.
Well, this may sound very strange, but the person I'm the most concerned about is David.
I thought you said he's the one that locked you in that room.
That's why I'm concerned about him.
I don't get it. I would think you'd hate him.
No. I feel very sorry for him.
Then you must have the most generous nature I've ever heard of.
It hasn't anything to do with that. I feel so sorry for him. Because Collinwood has become his whole world, and there is nothing he can do to get away from it.
Oh. And there is something you can do to get away.
Of course. All I have to do is to walk out that door and turn my back.
Vicky, please don't.
Oh, come on. You managed perfectly well before I came along.
Not perfectly well. Let's just say we managed.
And you'll continue to manage.
I'm not so sure.
Why not?
Vicky, the day you arrived was the same day Burke Devlin came back to Collinsport.
What's that got to do with me?
Maybe it doesn't have anything to do with you. But it has everything to do with me. Don't you see? That's why I'm so confused.
No matter how many times you explain what happened to Vicky last night, I'm still confused and upset.
Liz, I've told you all I know.
Did Vicky actually say she saw the figure of Bill Malloy?
We have only her word for that.
Oh, I've never had any reason to doubt her word.
But of course, there's some way that we might satisfy our curiosity.
Not just curiosity. I'm really worried.
Worried about what?
As long as you've lived in this house, even when you were a child, have you ever seen anything you could actually call a ghost?
I'm not sure.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I've seen and felt things. Things I couldn't explain. Something I don't know what. But you can't tell me that hasn't happened to you because I know better.
You said there was a way we could satisfy our curiosity. What were you going to suggest?
Well, I think we should go into the closed section of the house and go back to that room and see if there's any evidence of what Vicky claimed to have seen.
my leaving have to do with you and Burke Devlin? Vicky, you're the only person I can talk to about him. Can you imagine the mess I would have been in without your advice?
Would it have been any worse than the mess you got in with it?
But I haven't... Vicky, absolutely nothing happened between Burke and me.
Was it your fault nothing happened?
I never thought about it that way. You always have to be so honest.
Yep.
Well, in that case, if Burke hadn't been drinking so much... Oh, how can I say what might have happened? Did you want something to happen? I don't know.
I told you I was confused, didn't I? It's funny. I've seen Burke drink, but I've never seen him drunk.
No, I didn't say he was drunk. I said he'd been drinking, you know, like he was celebrating something.
I wonder what he was celebrating.
Yes, this is the room. Now, I found the key on the floor. I picked it up and I unlocked the door. And as you see, I left the key in the door.
How did you know which room to look for?
I didn't know at first. I walked along miles of corridor until I finally came to this one out here, and I heard her scream. When I came in the room, she was cowered over there in that corner.
Oh, I don't blame her. I'd have been terrified.
You know, that's the one thing that makes me wonder about this story of ghosts.
What?
Well, the fact that she was so frightened. And she said she fell asleep, probably here on the bed. It could have all been a bad dream.
What are all these things doing here?
I can't imagine.
Look, one of David's drawings. His toy, his books. David's been in this room before. He brought Vicky here deliberately.
All right. Suppose that he did all of this deliberately and intended to come back and get Vicky out. Now, by the enormity of what he had done, it must have scared him off and he said nothing.
Poor Vicky.
Yes, I agree. Poor Vicky. He's done a very dangerous thing, and if I know David, he's going to twist it so that it'll seem Vicky's fault.
Is that why you're afraid for him?
Yes. I suppose it's a horrible thing for a father to say about his son, but I think that David is an incipient psychopath. There's no telling what he might or might not do.
And that's why you think she must leave?
To be perfectly candid, yes.
Does Vicky's claim that she saw Bill Malloy's ghost have any effect on your decision?
No, how should it? Anyway, it's utter nonsense. When I found her, she was babbling. I saw nothing at all to substantiate anything that she said.
Then you didn't look very closely.
What do you mean?
It's just as she described it, isn't it? Wet seaweed. There's no doubt in your mind what it is.
Of course not. It's a strand of seaweed.
Still damp.
Do you suppose it all means?
Well, it was your idea to go to that room and see if there was any evidence of the ghost that Vicky said she saw.
Yes, I know, but
I think we saw the evidence that we were meant to.
meant to see. By whom? Liz, he's dead and buried.
His body is dead and buried. I've heard that ghosts are restless souls. Souls that never stop wandering until a wrong has been righted.
Are you trying to tell me that you actually think there was a ghost in that room?
Something was there. How do you account for the seaweed?
I don't know. Perhaps David put it there.
Didn't Vicky tell you the ghost was dripping wet and covered with seaweed?
Well, yes, but...
Mother, you simply must convince Vicky to change her mind about leaving Collinwood.
I don't think I have the right to.
Oh, Mother!
Well, no, it's something that doesn't have to be decided right away, does it?
Vicky, dear, I want you to understand one thing. I don't want you to leave Collinwood. I'd be much happier if you stayed. But I think the decision is entirely up to you.
I understand. At least I think I do.
Mrs. Johnson could never begin to take your place here. And there's not the slightest chance that you ever get through to David.
I don't seem to have done a very good job myself.
Oh, you mustn't blame yourself.
But I do blame myself. Or rather, I did blame myself until last night.
Now, even though he behaves strangely, I think David does respect you.
He's got a funny way of showing it. Vicky, I'm sure you and David can work things out.
I don't agree. I think that Vicky should leave
Don't
Collinwood.
listen to him.
It's for her own good.
The decision is up to Vicky.
No, I don't think it is at all.
What do you mean by that?
All along, even when I was the most determined to leave, I knew that the final decision would have to rest with David. He's the one we're the most concerned about, isn't he? And I don't want to decide anything until I've talked to David. But why? Why must you ask David? Because he hates me more than I ever guessed. And I want to know why.
See some of your favorite people caught in personal crisis on Peyton Place tonight, followed by The Big Valley, here on ABC. Dark Shadows is a Dan Curtis production.